I'm excited to be joined here today by WWE superstar Bianca Belair, obviously wearing the championship, the Raw Women's Champion. Bianca, it's been an incredible journey for you, and it's only going to get better as we get into WrestleMania season here. It's not just WrestleMania though. When we get to LA, there's some other events that are going to be coming up, correct?
Yes, it's not just WrestleMania April 1st and April 2nd, which is going to be two amazing, spectacular nights, but it's a week-long event. You have Friday Night SmackDown along with the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, which is always
Hmm.
exciting. You have NXT Stand and Deliver, and also Raw, all that same weekend. So it's going to be super fun, exciting. It's already, fans from all over the world have already made plans to come and attend this event, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and for me, I'm trying to get there myself. It would be my first WrestleMania. I've been a fan of WWE for some time, but
Ah,
for you, but for you, you're getting into, I believe it's going to be at least your third WrestleMania competing. I know you showed up on the main card, on the main roster, excuse me, after WrestleMania 36, if I'm not mistaken. What was that early moment like for you? Kind of getting thrown into the mix on Raw and just what it's been for you ever since.
well, I think people sometimes forget that my big debut was the WrestleMania Performance Center. So quarantine, I made a
Yeah,
appearance with the Street Profits.
that's
So
right. That's right.
to, my debut originally was supposed to be the Raw after WrestleMania. So I was supposed to give this
Mm, okay.
debut, one of the biggest shows of the year, the Raw after Mania, but everything shut down. So I
Mm,
got to like a little rough, shaky start. Debuting in front of no crowd, no audience. Like happened to introduce myself to just people through a TV screen, like trying to connect with
right.
people through a TV screen. So it was rough and shaky, but we got through that, and out of that came me winning the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 37, where I got to main event WrestleMania. Then WrestleMania 38, where I got to my redemption story, and I took back my title from Becky Lynch. So
Mm,
looks like I'm undefeated at WrestleMania at this point.
there you go. Not too far off from the Undertaker streak, right?
Yeah.
um for you, and as you kind of mentioned there, one, there was you competed on NXT. You had a lot of great matches on NXT and with that brand, but then all of a sudden, the pandemic happens and we find ourselves where we're watching TV, we're watching WWE programming only on TV. You guys are performing in front of no crowds, as you mentioned. What was that like, and how do you think maybe that helped you kind of come along to where you are now by being able to perform in front of nobody, more or less?
Yeah, it was tough because I mean our whole job is to put smiles on fans' faces. So to come out
Hmm.
and entrance and no one's there, it's like being at a party with like headphones on that nobody else can hear the music, but it's just like it's
Mm.
a weird feeling. And it was rough. We feed off of the crowd. I think it was hard for me because it was my first time that people were seeing me. So people were seeing me with no fans. But WWE did an amazing job with like the Thunderdome and adapting. But I think it made me a better competitor because I didn't have the fans to rely on. I had to just rely on my capabilities and made me a better performer. It made me have to, rely on not just have people watch me do moves, but connect and make people feel something. I feel like it actually drew me closer to my fans. Like I feel like I have a very deep, genuine connection with my fans because we were all going through a hard time in the world at that time, and watching WWE was an outlet for a lot of people. So people would tune into Friday Night SmackDown or Monday Night Raw, and I would be their outlet, and they could connect with me, and I connected with them. But it made me a better performer. We had some banger matches during
Hmm.
that time, and it's carried over to now where I can have these banger matches at WrestleManias and Hell in the Cells and last woman standing matches and ladder matches. It just made me a better performer.
And for you, one of your biggest moments, I mean, you could tell me if I'm wrong, was winning the title at WrestleMania, as you mentioned. Um,
Mhm.
what can you give us a little hint, a little idea of what can be in store potentially for you at WrestleMania this year? Like, how do you top the WrestleManias you've already been at?
Well, honestly, y'all, I know just as much as y'all know.
And we're still a long way away, to be fair.
I find out stuff like just like when I found out I was main event in WrestleMania 37, I found out on Twitter. Just like
Okay.
so, asking me for spoilers. I don't have any. Y'all, you tell me. Sometimes I be who you think I'm going to wrestle this WrestleMania? I mean, I've
uh,
heard Charlotte, I've heard Rhea. And any of those would be amazing. Like
yeah.
my goals is to take down all four horsewomen. I've taken down three. Charlotte,
Okay.
fourth one, and she's one of the ones that when I first got into NXT, she was the first one that like I looked up to.
Hmm.
Because I think people forget that she's a homegrown talent too. Like her dad's Ric Flair, but
Right.
she can no wrestling experience either, and she's a collegiate athlete just like me. But she's at the top of the mountaintop. So if I could take someone like Charlotte Flair down, woo! And then
Hmm.
Rhea Ripley, she's doing just as amazing things on the other side. She won her first title at WrestleMania. I won my first title at
Yeah.
WrestleMania. Like been going on for years. But I think that that's definitely a WrestleMania match. Maybe 39 or 40.
Hmm.
I think that's going to be a feud that's going to go down in history.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something I realized, and that was kind of part of the show. I think at one point, I think was that even the night after you won the title. I think all three champions were on the show, but you and Rhea, like your guys' careers have kind of paralleled pretty nicely there, and she's doing some good things in her own right there. But for you, and just early on in your journey, and some of these things you've kind of talked about before, but anytime I said if I could ever get a chance to talk to Bianca Belair, I have so many things I want to ask you, but obviously, like. I'm so interested in how you come up with your attire is it for every show? Like where do you guys are traveling so much? Like how do
Yeah,
you ever have time to even uh, put this together? Put your
I,
outfits together the way you do?
I don't have time. I don't have time. No, I think at one point I was like, I don't think I repeated a gear even
Hmm.
on SmackDown or Raw for over 2, 3 years.
Gotcha.
But now it's the point now where I just I try to make big gears for the premium live events,
Hmm.
and I wear those gears again because every single
Right.
time I look at that gear, I want to take me back to that specific moment,
Hmm.
but I don't have time. So,
Right.
being champion, being in the title picture, I'm always on the road,
Yeah.
whether it's a live event, Raw, sometimes SmackDown, media. I'm in LA right now for media.
Hmm.
Uh, talking about the big WrestleMania week, but so now like Saudi Arabia, I had literally had to
Yeah.
make my bus in the plane and in the hotels in the locker room. But I put a lot into what I do, and I really like love when I see people appreciate the gears because I do be wearing myself out, but
Yeah.
I'm proud of it and I love doing it.
No, I just think that's so awesome. And rightfully so. I don't blame you for maybe cutting back on it a little bit, especially because it allows us to do time and do an interview like this. But what is that wardrobe like? What is how do you store a lot of that stuff? How do you maintain that? Has anyone ever asked you that? That's what I want to know. Like,
Uh,
how do you
uh,
keep up with all that?
it's been a conversation in the house. Like my husband, he's like, we don't
Montez?
get Montez. He's like, we're gonna have to get like one of those U-Haul storage bins and put
Hmm.
it there. But then I'm scared because I'm like, no, what if somebody breaks in and takes it?
Hmm.
So right now it takes up a full closet in one of our spare bedrooms. And I just like try to store it in like a little Ziplocky bag and hang
Hmm.
and up. But people have asked me before, like, are you gonna hang it up and put them in like showcase?
Right.
That would be great, but what room? I have so many gears.
Yeah.
And then some people ask, am I going to sell them? Like, no, I can never part with them. They're
Too
just
many memories, right?
yes, and it's just so sentimental to me. So we're gonna have to figure that out.
And,
Where to
and for the WrestleMania, like, do you already like start planning the WrestleMania attire out now? Like how like you're not doing that week of, are you?
probably. Uh,
Girl.
so WrestleMania 37 and 38, I did all those gears the week of, and
Wow.
it's taking me a little bit longer now because I used to have like a base design for my gear, but now I've been trying to like push myself.
Hmm.
It's really like my husband was just talking about last night. He's like, I was looking at some of your gear in the house. He's like, and it's evolved so much. Like you're getting better and better.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I haven't even started on my gear for Survivor Series War Games, and we have what
Coming up.
coming up. So
Yeah.
But for Mania, I've been trying to brainstorm because I mean it's in Hollywood, it's big, it's gonna be
Hmm.
stars there. Like I wanted to be something that's big and bold. And I got a top last year. I mean, I had the
Yeah.
band, I had
Yeah, you did. That's right. That's right.
what am I gonna do? But it has to be big in Hollywood.
And another thing too, obviously it's well documented your journey, your eating disorder that you've overcome, you being a college athlete. I cover the UCLA football team, so I'm every day in the grind of writing about college athletics and talking to those athletes. But for you, how important were those early years for you at the University of Tennessee, and I also believe Texas A&M, doing track and field? Um,
Yeah.
how um, how important was that to who you are now?
I started my freshman year at the University of South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay,
I was,
that's what it was.
and then I finished at Tennessee. So I went kind of
So
everywhere.
not Texas A&M.
Texas A&M was my sophomore year.
Okay, you
And
did. Okay, gotcha.
so three schools.
Hmm.
Uh, but they were very important. I mean, during that time, I didn't think that they were because I was just struggling so hard with, track was like my identity, and I was away from home and trying to figure out who I was. But I was a kid. People watch like college football games and basketball
Hmm.
games, track meets, and they get so invested in these games, but they forget that these are kids still,
Yep.
kids dealing with school and grades and relationships and friendships and away from home and figuring out who they are. So during that time, it just felt like it didn't make sense to me, and it was like, why is this? Why is this happening? We need depression and eating disorders and not running good and just isolating myself, and it was rough, and it was like growing pains, really bad growing pains. But looking back, it's really made me who I am today. I know
Hmm.
how to handle with struggles and triggers, and it's a marathon. You still go through it, but I feel like I'm not going through it anymore. I've kind of gone through it. I'm on the other side a little bit, but it's really truly made me who I am today. It's made me stronger mentally, physically, and now I can be open and vulnerable, and I can help other people. Like when I was going through it, I wish that I had someone that I could relate to, let me know, like, you're not alone, and this isn't, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just going through something.
And two more questions, and we'll get you out of here. One, the braid that you have. Do you have any unique, fun, or frustrating travel stories with the braid?
Oh my goodness. Her name is Destiny.
Okay.
She does have, sometimes she is wonderful and she acts right, and sometimes she has an attitude and she just does not act right. In the very early stages of me wrestling, I had to figure out how to use it to my advantage and not to be used to like as a disadvantage, because it
Hmm.
used to get in the way. And now if you watch my matches, you'll see where I'm doing a flip and I have it in my hand, or I'm
Yep.
holding it moves. I don't even realize I'm doing it anymore. It's just like
Mm.
memory where I have to get it out of the way. But I'm trying to think of any interesting stories.
Have you
Other than,
never got it caught
oh,
anywhere? And
yes,
oh
yes,
my
yes, yes. It gets caught in the door. I'll,
God.
I'll slam the door behind me and it's caught in the
Uh-oh.
door. Similar to what happened in Saudi Arabia at the last women's standing
Mm.
match,
Hmm.
when they tried to put me in that
Yeah.
bin case, and I got stuck in the case. So it's trapped in some really crazy places.
Gotcha. Um, Very interesting. Another one, maybe on a more serious note. Obviously, me and you both African Americans. And for you and the platform and the stage that you have, how important is it for you to, and not only being an African American, but a woman as well? How important is it for you to, just continue to inspire those that are, both women athletes, African American, just people in color in general? Is that something that you hold on to when you're on the stage that you're on, and the people that look up to you?
Definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, when I walk in the room, you can see that I'm a woman and you can see that I'm a black woman. So,
Mhm.
of course, I want to be known as Bianca Belair. the amazing, great wrestler. But at the end of the day, I am a woman. I am a woman of color. And I know how important that is. And I always live by the quote, representation is not a request, it is a requirement. The media plays a huge role in like giving examples to people of like where society and the world sees where they fit in and how what is their glass ceiling and what are they capable of. So I take that responsibility very hugely. So whenever I step out, I always try to think about that. But I'm at the point now where it's like I don't want to try to do the right thing. I just want to do it my way, and hopefully that's the right way and inspire people, because the best gift that I can give someone, that anybody can give someone, is to just be yourself and not try to be something to inspire someone. The way to inspire people is to just genuinely be you, and go after your goals and dreams. Like Royal Rumble, when I won, I had no idea that I made history by being the first Black female to win a Royal Rumble. I wasn't going out there with the goal of I want to be the first Black female to win. I just went after my goals, and in the end, I ended up making history.
Right.
But it's important, I was having a conversation with my husband about WrestleMania when I main evented. He was like, uh, he's like, I'm 30, I think he was 32 at the time. He's like, I'm 32 at the 32, and it's my first time seeing two Black females main event WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He said our stepdaughter was 8 and she saw that. Imagine how that's going to impact her and influence her and inspire her. So it's very important. And it's not just happening in the United States. I mean, we were just in Saudi Arabia, and Bailey and I had a last woman standing match and driving golf in Saudi, where, women can drive in Saudi now. We were able to drive golf carts. We're a part of change all across the world, and it's just amazing how WWE is able to be a part of that representation and change all across the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bianca. WWE Raw Women's Champion. Appreciate your time. And I'll be sure the next time we catch up to ask you about that wardrobe and how things are going. So thank you so much.
Yeah, so it'll be your first one. You
yes.
Gotta get
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm planning on it. So thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.